There's no acorns at all this year. None of our big oak trees or any of the oak trees have had a single acorn. There's loads of leaf litter on the floor, but there's not a single acorn amongst it, and there's no acorns on the trees. I've tried to find out why, but I can't find any reason. We haven't had a late frost this year in May. That sometimes kills off the oak flowers and the developing acorns. Has been quite a dry year. The trees have put on a lot of growth, but it's sort of strange. Some years you get tons and tons of them, and some years you don't get very many at all, but it's very strange to have none. The oaks are usually their crop, depending on the weather. You either get like a big glut of them or you don't get many. It does vary a lot, but yeah, very, very rare to have none at all. Although I have noticed that the oak trees have put on a lot of vegetative growth this year, and perhaps it kind of helps them to have a year off where they're not putting lots of energy into developing acorns, and where they can sort of concentrate on putting lots of new growth on as well. I've noticed in particular quite a lot of the little oak trees that I've put in over the last few years have grown quite a lot this year. Even these scrawny little oaks on the forest floor, because oaks don't really do well under a canopy, but where they've seeded themselves in previous years, these ones have put on quite a lot of growth. But yeah, not even a single acorn under any of these trees either. So just completely acorn-free year. And just look down at this leaf litter, there's not a single acorn, whereas usually there's just tons of them everywhere. And not a single one in the canopy either. The beech trees seem to be having a similar problem. Here's some empty cases. I can see quite a few empty cases, but I haven't seen any beech nuts. Now, unlike oaks, acorns, beech nuts are really tasty. You just sort of peel them and eat them. They are quite small, but they are really, really tasty. The whole beech tree is edible. But oaks, you have to kind of process them if you want to use them. And I was going to try that this year, but I have to wait till next year for that. And I was going to make some acorn coffee, but yeah, not a single acorn this year, so I can't do that either. But interesting to see that the beech trees are sort of a bit similar. There's yeah, just here and there, there's a few little seed cases, but I haven't seen one single nut so far. So that's sort of interesting. I'm wondering if chestnuts and walnuts have had the same issue, because our chestnuts and walnuts are really small and not old enough to produce nuts yet, but be interesting to find out. And also interesting to know if other people are having this issue, if it's just affecting here or if it's the same all over the country, or it's kind of interesting. So have you had any trouble with not having any beech nuts, chestnuts, walnuts, or acorns? Interestingly though, the fruit trees were a bit rubbish this year. Again, we didn't have any late frost, so the blossom wasn't killed, but there was an issue with a cool spring, and that meant there weren't so many pollinating insects. But of course, oaks and beech are wind pollinated, so that wouldn't affect them. And I noticed them flowering. They have all these little very kind of not very glamorous green kind of dangly catkins in about May. The oaks and the beech are quite similar, and I saw them okay, so I just assumed that they were going to have loads of acorns. And it's only really kind of last month I started thinking, well, there should be loads of acorns around here, and then I've sort of finally come to the realization today that there's not a single acorn this year, and that's really strange. So all of the nut and fruit bearing trees that I've seen don't seem to have very much crop. I have seen a walnut tree earlier in the year somewhere, and it had some nuts, but they've completely been eaten by squirrels. I haven't noticed very many hazelnuts this year, so it seems to be across the board with all the trees, but I'm really interested to find out what's causing this. There are usually quite a lot of hazelnuts in the hedgerows this time of year as well, and I've not seen any hazelnuts at all, so it's whatever has affected the acorns seems to have had a similar effect on lots of other trees. Really interesting. But the berries and spindles have had loads of berries. The wayfaring trees had berries. The field maples, have they had seeds? No, I haven't really seen many field maple seeds either. So it's quite a lot of things haven't had much. Hawthorns have got some berries. Dog roses have got hips. Honeysuckle berries, lots of berries. There were quite a lot of blackberries this year. Blackberry season was early. A lot of wild raspberries. So the berries haven't been affected. It seems to be like sort of fruit and nuts that have been most affected. The apples this year were kind of all smaller than they should be, and lots of the trees didn't produce any fruit. So it's kind of strange. Some years you get a lot, and some years you don't get much. Some years you get nothing at all, but there's always something that does well. So this year we might not have had nuts and hard fruit, but we've had lots of soft fruit and berries. And so yeah, there's always something that does well, always something that flourishes, and whatever the conditions are, it's always like optimum conditions for something. So very strange, quite a mystery really. Why are there no acorns? Why are loads of trees affected? I've tried to find out this, and I've just come up with loads of other theories. So if anyone knows or has an idea of why this is, do please let us all know, because it's yeah, quite a mystery. I'd like to know why. So yeah, this was just like a little video, just to say there are no acorns this year, and does anyone know why this is? So I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and if you have any questions, please ask. And if you press the little me down here somewhere, you can see my other videos. And there's something else I usually say, isn't there? What's that? Do you remember, Ziggy? No. I think it's like I'll see you next time.